Yeah.
Unlike the UK.
Oh yeah, you operate on principle. Yeah, like
We
I've
do.
seen that. Well,
We
anyway,
do.
I'm supposed to be starting the show right now, so we're actually on live now. So I got to do the intro. Ready? Oh, you are ready. Okay.
We're just starting now.
Yes, we're just starting now. Now we have
Jesus
started.
Christ.
Hello,
Oh my
everybody.
God.
Hello, everybody on the house. You right? You having a good one? Sorry about like the last month. It's not been the easiest of times. I've had a lot of things going on, a lot of family issues, been up and down the country.
Do you need me to take
It's
over the
been
house,
real.
Robin?
It's been real. I've had a few bits of work as well, and it's just not been really very convenient. Sorry, you are not very convenient for me. That's all I'm saying. It's not me. It's you.
True. Oh.
So yeah, sorry about that, but we're back. You know,
Hooray!
kinda. I'm just sort of.
Ish.
Am I in? Yeah, am I in the right mood? I suppose I'm gonna have to be. Otherwise
Is there
I'm
a
screwed,
wrong
really.
mood for the open house? You
Yes,
sort of show
there is.
up.
Well,
like, there's not.
I've
It's very
I'd-
low.
I know, but I'd like to start
Responsibility.
proceedings, if you will, with a wonderful story. It is a story of Mr. Eazy-E. Mr. Eazy-E, E as he's called by his close friends. He was a singer and songwriter
And you.
for a wonderful band called NWA. They were a group of young men out of Los Angeles, I believe it was, a South Central area in the 1990s. Mr. E was part of said group from Compton. They did quite a lot of things. But the poor lad, at the age of 30, died of AIDS. Of AIDS, sorry, not age, AIDS. So yeah. So yeah, bit of a bummer for a lot of Eazy-E fans out there. One of those Eazy-E fans is a chap called Guy Stevens. And what's gone on here is that Guy Stevens lives in a place called New Haven. If you know New Haven, it's basically out in the middle of nowhere. Not really anywhere special. However, Guy Stevens said, I want to have a memorial. Well, okay. In England, we like to memorialise people. And one of the ways we do this is to basically like get a park bench and stick it in a park somewhere. This is the best story. No, it gets controversial. Hang in there. So
Okay.
Guy Stevens goes and does that thing. So after a successful campaign by this resident, he demanded his town council immortalise his hip-hop hero. So New Haven Town Council admitted they had no idea who Eazy-E was, allowed him to build a bench if he could raise the funds. And after a global campaign, the devoted fan raised over £1,500 for a bench, which is now set to be built on Denton Island. The jubilant Mr. Stevens told the council,
Put a stop to this.
get a gangster rap concert going in the summer. I want Eazy-E and NWA blaring out of the speakers on Denton Island with a burger van and a beer tent. The rapper from Compton,
All he got was
California.
a bench. He didn't get a right to broadcast his
I know.
trash music everywhere.
The rapper,
Oh, yeah, the rest of the story.
the rapper from Compton, California, achieved success in the early 90s with the song "Fuck the Police" and "Express Yourself" and "Real Motherfucking G's." Mr. Eazy-E's daughter was planned to visit the bench in honour of her father, who died in 1995, and didn't realise it was in the UK. She was told Mr. Stevens she appreciated the gesture. Mr. Stevens raised £1,549 for the bench by enlisting support from hip-hop fans around the world. Mr. Stevens' campaign received support from America, Sweden and Portugal. The hip-hop night at the Green Door store in Brighton also raised money for the bench. The memorial cost £1,700, with the remaining money going to local HIV charities, the Sussex Beacon and the Terence Higgins Trust. So this is all good stuff. You know, Mr. Stevens has said that, I'm glad I've managed to cement myself in hip-hop history and have a mention of Eazy-E's Wikipedia page. He's in there. Let's have a look at the Wikipedia page. I really should have. If I do this, what's going to happen? Let's see what happens.
By the way,
No, that's not the right
I just
one.
like to play. Sorry, go on.
That's not the right thing. We'll go back to the main for now. I've got to work on that. I've really got to work on that. Anyway, so look, it's
Oh yeah, it's on
Wait,
the page.
Are we restarting? Are we doing the
it
whole
gets
intro over again? I'm
worse,
confused.
but there's more. You see, there seems to be controversy surrounding this particular incident. More has happened. Basically,
how could more possibly happen?
Well,
I think,
well, if you can imagine unveiling, a hip hop legend like Eazy-E to the world, it can be a bit much for some people. You know what I'm saying? And so there's been a bit of an uproar after this one. So yeah, they've gone a bit crazy, and everyone's a little bit upset within this. So I'm just trying to find the other article on this one here.
How many viewers do we have right now, by the way?
It's probably dropping right now. Don't worry. That's the plan. But yeah, so there's a lot of people kind of upset about this in that area. They're not keen. They're not keen on having somebody who says "fuck the police" as a memorial to sit on. I don't see what the problem is. What do you think?
It's a bench. It's not a statue, for goodness sake.
So what do you think, Internet?
I'd just like to play very briefly my favorite version of "Fuck the Police," which has a slightly added bit to it that I think makes it just a little bit
Careful
better.
with the copyright, mate. Yeah.
That's like that.
That's
you all
right.
remember that, right? When Victoria Nuland, the Undersecretary for Europe and Eurasian Affairs, said "fuck the EU" and it got captured by the Russians and put on YouTube.
It's perfect.
You remember that? Oh, good times.
That's a
Good
thing.
times.
That's a thing that happened.
That is actually a thing that actually happened.
Oh, I found the bit where the guy Stevens put his in here. It's quite funny, really. In 2019, self-described fan Guy Stevens persuaded the town council in New Haven, East Sussex, a medium-sized seaside town, to permit a memorial bench to Eazy-E. Though local press and radio were, as of February 2019, unable to discover a local connection. Mr. Stevens is quoted as saying, "It's better than nothing, which is pretty much all New Haven has."
Damn. Tough but fair. I mean...
he basically said it's the biggest landmark in New Haven since the incinerator. So that's my story. What have you got? That's it, is it? Well, brilliant.
Oh,
I was expecting to be like all of these different topics that you guys have been like saving up over the last few months.
When are we supposed to come prepared with topics?
Yeah,
It's not a thing.
Yeah, that was. We're not prepared for. Okay, so how
You
about
literally-
Very antithetical.
You guys just
But
literally
what about-
swim in
I
this
got-
sea.
I got- The game is rigged. The TGIO.FYI.
I got a topic. How about Milo leading the straight parade in Boston? There you go.
How does
There's a
that-
topic.
How does that
I'm
even
gonna go to
work?
the bathroom now.
Who's-
so you can deal with that shit.
Who's Milo?
Milo Yiannopoulos.
Milo, who's Milo Yiannopoulos? I know.
You don't know who Milo Yiannopoulos is?
Yes, I know who Milo is. I'm trying to give you idiots a hint. That's all.
Well, it's not working out.
Clearly.
So after the third attempt of you trying to give us that hint, did you not think maybe I should give up on that one?
No, because
No.
it's
Because
I
now,
think y'all
yeah,
should-
see, I came in there to basically compound the issue and make
Yes,
it, but
yes.
basically sort of like almost farcical at that point. There's
Yes,
where the
it
comedy
was.
could lie.
Right. The point I was making is that no one should know who Milo is, and no one would know who Milo is now if y'all would shut the fuck up about it.
Oh yeah, because we are leading the fucking debate over here, aren't we?
Yes.
If it wasn't for us talking about him, nobody would have heard.
I would. Well, I mean, he was a voice that people heard when he was at Breitbart. Since he's left Breitbart and since his YouTube thing went away and his audience has turned into like 5 dudes in the back of a van, I don't think he really matters that much
I think that's
anymore.
been his entire career.
He had momentum when he would show up on college campuses, say something offensive, and then troll them for saying, "Why are you saying mean things to me? Don't you know I'm gay? Don't you know you're not allowed to say mean things to me because I'm gay?" But he doesn't really get to do that anymore. So I think I don't really think he matters. I agree.
What's
I feel that way
interesting
about
is,
Kraut,
what's
or
interesting is if you look
on too, since he lost.
if you look at some of
bid.
the people in Boston who are doing this gay pride parade, straight pride parade, it's not really a lot of them talking about being straight, and a lot of them really talking about being homosexual.
So I've always been, I'm down with the idea of a straight pride parade. Let me just say, I think that pride is stupid. I don't understand why it makes sense to be proud of. Like, I don't have blind
pride. I
just
can understand. It's the dignity I'm hoping they'll finally work on that one.
Yeah,
You know, it's like kind of going, dude, I don't care where you stick your junk, but just literally don't put it in my face.
That's exactly right. Put your junk anywhere you want except in my face. But
you think Milo would have like an in with fellow fig hater Steven Crowder?
So I'm curious, is Milo a straight ally then, as a gay man marching in a straight pride parade? Is that he's a straight ally? Is that what he's an ally for straight people? Because
he's going to come out as straight eventually.
Right? Is he in the closet as a straight man? Is that what's happening here?
Why isn't Steven Crowder going to bat for him? Out of curiosity,
I don't know.
It's really
That's
weird.
A good question.
Like,
or to batty for him.
He used to show up on stage with Milo and that old lady who nobody knows anymore.
Oh yeah, her.
Christina Hoff Summers, you mean?
Yeah. Very, very polite, nice old lady.
Yeah, she should never have lost her husband, really. I wonder if she's found him yet. What, too close to the bone?
I just have no idea what the reference is because I don't know her at all. So I can't laugh. I'm sure it was very rude, though.
Yeah, but usually. As far as this sort of thing is concerned, I mean, how many people turned up to this, really?
I think it needs to take place.
Oh, it hasn't.
Robin, are you going to
yet.
tweet the open house so that people can watch so that I can retweet? All of my legions of adoring fans can be alerted.
Whenever they turn up, sure.
Exactly.
I'll be expecting some decent numbers in the next couple of years then.
Yeah, you'll be waiting a while. A few years is reasonable. I think
how
that's
many
about
people
the right
turned up
time
to
frame
this,
you should
really?
be targeting there, yes.
Okay.
So yeah, on the subject of Crowder, I am very. My thoughts on this are very simple. YouTube can. So first of all, obviously, demonetization is not censorship. You have no particular need to make money off of any particular thing that you're doing. But even if they had banned Crowder, I wouldn't care. I would say, okay, that's fine, because companies can choose who they do and don't want to do business with. That's sort of like the law.
Yeah, it's like complaining, like going and talking to Crowder over and over again and just saying, invite me on your show, and every time he says no, you just scream, censorship! My precious censorship!
If people don't like that YouTube is demonetizing Crowder, then they can start their own amazingly awesome, network of videos with the amazing amounts of resources that they have available to them. Because it's not like conservatives don't have resources. And
it's actually much simpler than that. Okay, think of it this way. Let's say that a company decided that they were going to, deliver leaflets via mail to everyone in a given country. And that was what they said they were going to do, right? And then what they decided to do was deliver leaflets that were only applicable to a particular political party, let's say the Green Party or the Libertarian Party, right?
Imagine if somebody Brexited is really what you're saying, isn't it?
Well, no, I mean, just like, but they built the infrastructure. They built the infrastructure in order to do that, and then they decided to only send out leaflets to, say, the Libertarian Party in the U.S.
Right.
Okay. So now, are we going to require that group of people to send out leaflets to every single political party in the U.S.?
Well, I mean that would be something like a fairness doctrine, and you can't have that. No. You can't really have that. That wouldn't be fair having a fairness doctrine. You see,
But
otherwise,
you can't.
because
but
like
you-
the idea of having, say, a platform that basically distributes sort of news and TV, all that sort of business, and it being subject to
but you
advertisers or
can't-
whatever like that. If you're going to say that you can have if you're going to have these particular people on, you should have these particular people on. You do fall into something that would be considered the fairness doctrine.
But the only way that
Yes,
you're going to be able to do that is at the cost to the company, and therefore, at that point, you should really just be nationalizing the company because you're requiring them to do something that's going to cost them additional funds simply to comply with your request. At that point, if you're willing to go to that level, then technically it should just simply be nationalized. And if you're not willing to nationalize it, then just simply take your hands out of it in the first place.
Yeah, I mean, it would be quite funny if people like Crowder would be advocating, let's nationalize this. It's like, dude, you're a communist now. You want to nationalize everything.
Take their hands out of what? Online video?
Why is it YouTube's responsibility or Twitter? Let's go to Twitter, for example, because this is probably a better example. Why is it Twitter's responsibility to determine what political messages show up on its platform?
Because it's Twitter's website. If the to a certain extent, the what is on Twitter is a reflection of what.
Do we
Twitter wants on
require
Twitter.
that? Do we require that of any public broadcasting? Do we require that
Yes.
of Fox News? Do we require that
Kinda.
of MSNBC?
Well,
No, we
used
don't.
to, and then they
Well,
got rid of the fairness doctrine. So
Well, I don't.
And this is why Nigel
I question
Farage
how much of a
appears in every
difference it
single
actually made, but-
BBC show that deals with Brexit, and there's no
Yeah,
Remain
this
vote.
entire concept of monopoly based on where everybody's showing up is retarded.
Right.
Oh no
It's
no no!
not a
What's that? What's that?
monopoly.
No no. There's. I remember the expression you said. That's capitalism.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I actually agree with this. Like, that's. I think that's exactly right. Like, if you don't, if you like, if there's some like person you don't like and you choose not to ban that person because of some retarded free speech argument, then you will be associated with the views of that person because you took a stand on not banning that person.
You vote with your dollar, and if you don't
Exactly.
vote with your dollar, then fuck
I'm not saying-
yourself.
And
Exactly.
how
I'm
many?
not saying
and
anything should happen
and
to you
here's
as a
the-
result of that,
well,
but that is what
the
like,
big
that's
diff.
the
Well,
consequence.
with that
associated
that dollar
person.
vote business here, the thing is that what you've got to ask yourself is this: how many dollars have you paid into Twitter?
None.
So guess how much vote you get.
That's right.
They're simply being paid to do what the market is telling them to
I don't
do.
think
It's
I don't think
it's
that's entirely
that simple. Like, look, you if you don't
uses our
like it,
resources to Twitter. It's not like the Facebook
Right.
model is. Yes, you don't pay for it, but you're of
Well, no,
value
but
to the
they-
company. So if you
but-
leave, that
but
is
this
a
is-
problem.
But this is the thing: is that people are talking about making some sort of like a bill of rights for people on the internet or whatever, and it's so stupid to me because, like, okay, let's say you do that, right? Let's say that you break up, I don't know, YouTube or Facebook. What do you think people are going to do? They're going to eventually find another place to mill around that they're all going to be interested in, and then all the people are going to be over there, and then what are you going to do? You're going to have to break that up as well?
Right. I mean, look what happened to AT&T. We broke it up because it was too huge, and 20 years later, and they just sort of like reformed, and no one has like the strength of will to do anything about it because the market decided twice that AT&T is what
It's
people want to know.
only a monopoly. It's only a monopoly when it starts to dysfunction. If there's no dysfunction, then it's not a monopoly.
What? No, it's a
This is the
monopoly.
thing.
It's a monopoly when it's taking over everything.
Well, no, but this is
It's
ridiculous,
functioning
though.
too
Like,
well. That's it. That would be its problem.
If you have a system in which no one is complaining, right? Everybody's like, okay, a monopoly. So it's like, let's say that Facebook is a monopoly of attention, right? Everybody's using Facebook, right?
Well, no, but carry on.
Well,
For the sake of argument, it is.
well, for the sake of argument, everybody's using Facebook. Everybody's paying attention to Facebook, and this is reducing the ability for other sites to, I don't know, get off the ground. Is that a monopoly, or is that just simply people making the decision to use a service that they prefer?
Well, this is my
Where
point.
is-
That's not a
where is-
monopoly. That isn't a
Well, what
monopoly.
is-
People
what is-
using
where
that
is-
service more than others. That's just
Right.
a leader of the field. That's all.
Right. But the reason that we have the term monopoly is because it reduces the ability for people to compete in order for something better to come along.
No, it doesn't
Right.
reduce it. It destroys it. That's when something is a monopoly.
Right.
Somebody
okay,
being in the lead, it's basically the top runner in a race still has to start from zero, just like everybody else. The problem
Right.
is,
So
of course,
if we look at the-
is that the top runner in the race is also trained harder. They've also got a better trainer. They've got other things that get them to win that race at the end of the day. They've
Or,
got
but
heritage, experience.
if we look at how many people were using MySpace and what market share of attention that they had at the time, would we say that they had a monopoly? And then how is it exactly that Facebook wrenched away their monopoly? If they had
Easy.
a monopoly, obviously there was no competition that was available to them, right?
Well, no, it wasn't really a competition so much as a replacement. The thing is that
not really.
well-
MySpace was around when Facebook.
Well, yeah,
rising,
but
so that people chose Facebook.
MySpace was basically the bridge between those weird fucking website addresses you used to get in the early 90s when you first got an ISP. And they sort of like gave you this little chunk of web space that you could make up, and you'd see these really pathetic web pages with like purple writing on a brown background, and it's like, this is my first web page. I'll update you every week about what I'm doing, and it never gets updated from that moment on ever.
The argument that I would make is that when we're talking about monopoly, we're talking about absolute control over a resource or a service that cannot be provided by another party, right? So when you're looking at something that the product that's being provided by Facebook is attention, anyone else can come in and provide that service. There's no monopoly there. It's simply what people are choosing to look at.
Well, it is
Yes,
a bit.
I
Of,
know.
it is
All
a
they
bit of a
have to do
meme,
is
isn't it? Really, when somebody
come in
kind of
with
goes,
virtually,
I'm being censored," and it's like, well, how come I know you're being censored?
Yeah. So a lot of people are getting angry that they're not getting money from YouTube right now because they're complete dicks.
I would
Yeah.
say that's a little incomplete. All they have to do is, compete with a company that has virtually limitless resources and to hire the most skilled money and talent that the agency can, the field can find to get all of the market research onto, and all the data based on all those eyeballs of what people actually want and how to actually provide that thing. That is what you have to contend with. If you're a YouTube startup competitor, you have to compete with limitless storage space and the willingness to lose money forever and not care.
But that's the situation in any market. You're always going to have a market leader that you're going to have to come up against. You're going to have to provide something that's better than the market leader.
But this is not a situation where the game is rigged.
The game is not rigged. You simply have to come up with an idea that is better than Facebook. Good luck with that.
I mean, the one thing I think is kind of cheating about YouTube is that since YouTube is associated with Google, which has all the money, YouTube can just lose money endlessly, and it doesn't matter.
True, I literally bet
Companies
you a
that
game is
aren't
rigged one.
conglomerates can't actually
You already did it. It's
afford
alright.
to do that.
There's no stranglehold here, though. Like, what's preventing you from creating some sort of like social medias? There are a million. There are a
that's what I'm
bunch
saying,
of
the
them out
lift-
there.
The lift for video is a lot harder because there's so much. You need so much just raw bandwidth and storage space that those costs would kill anyone who doesn't already have a larger umbrella organization that they can essentially feed off of.
So is that what killed Gab? Is that what killed BitChute?
Is Gab dead? But no, those are apples and oranges.
Well, that's
I'm
my
talking about
point.
Video sharing platforms specifically because the
Well,
lift is harder for YouTube because there's so much storage. With social
mean,
media,
you
it's
know,
mostly
What
text.
you have
I will
to
say
what you
this,
have to do
micro-
is you have
micro.
to present something that people are going to want more than Facebook. And if you're unable to do that, well, sorry, they have the oranges.
What if people want my idea more than Facebook, but I'm not able to give it to them because I can't afford to pay
Well,
for it
do they
because-
really want it that much then? Is my question.
Hey, Minecraft, we should allow them to build their own YouTube and Facebook because we know it's gonna get swamped by Nazis like Gab. So we can go, hey, we found all the Nazis. So if you want to get rid of them, they're there.
Speaking of which, Carl has a 20-year plan for UKIP.
I don't think that you can say that Facebook has a monopoly. I mean, this is simply attention. If attention is the resource that keeps Facebook going, anybody can create something that could compete with Facebook. There's nothing limiting somebody from doing that. So how can you say that's a monopoly?
Well, it has to do with people's sort of habitual nature that they're checking Facebook on the regular. They're not going to
they built a better product.
They're not going to want to necessarily check another competing application because A, nobody's going to be on that application to start with, and B, essentially people are already accustomed to what they already have, so they're familiar with it, and people don't like change very much, so it is essentially a monopoly. YouTube is a monopoly.
I don't agree with that because people don't like change, but they will change if forced to if, for instance, their favorite dude gets banned because of some words that they agree with. So
it could be any number of things, sure.
I think that it's sort of a self-regulating system in that if you ban people that the community doesn't want, then you're fine. But if you ban people the community does want, then they'll leave and form another community.
I don't think it's realistic to think that there's going to be a new market that's going to develop around what Facebook is doing or around what Twitter is doing. Somebody will have to come up with
there will if they do a bad job, right? If they're doing a good job.
So
they'll have to come up with a social media alternative.
Well, let's look at
slightly different than what Facebook.
Well, let's look at
right?
Let's look at
slightly
the
different. Mastodon's slightly different.
Yeah, but let's look at the argument against the monopoly, the concept of monopoly in and of itself in the first place, right? The idea is that somebody is going to come up with some sort of service that's going to be able to root out all other competition, and then nobody's going to be able to buy, I don't know, water or food or some other natural resource or some other thing that's going to corrupt and destroy the market simply because they're going to have a stranglehold over the resource, right? The physical product that they are producing.
Well, it's a service, but yeah.
Service, well, the service too. Like I don't know, the phone lines or electricity. It could be any number of things. Does Facebook actually have that?
Actually have what?
Do they have a stranglehold over, I don't know, news services or whatever? I mean, like, what they have is people's attention. And so unless we're going to start regulating people's attention and saying, like, oh, well, you have to go and look at, I don't know, like X, Y, and Z service before you can see Facebook.
Well, look,
how exactly are you supposed to regulate that? Because that's the reason. But that's the thing is that's the thing that they're providing, and it is elective.
I'm not necessarily saying that it's a bad thing. It's like the way we treat people in society that commit crimes, for instance. They create a situation where they need to be quarantined from society. Some people need to be quarantined from social media because, people, if they collectively decide that they don't want to see that kind of shit, they can decide, to do so. And ultimately, it's up to the company that's regulating these things. They could just as easily have gone all or nothing, but because they're beholden to advertisers, well, they can't. So they have to sort of adhere to a certain degree of decorum and presentability, which is just called being a fucking adult.
I don't know what any of that has to do with my point, to be honest with you.
Well,
my question is very simply this: can you monopolize information?
Well, I don't think that the monopoly argument is really relevant when it comes down to it.
Well, I mean, they're trying to break up Facebook and YouTube and Twitter over it, so.
It just got completely off the topic of YouTubers.
Yeah, I very much doubt that they will, because they have no real leg to stand on. This isn't like banking. It's just the internet.
So there you go.
It's just the internet. It's just people talking shit.
Also, this isn't, it's not like Crowder got banned, he just got demonetized.
Yeah,
A
you're
lot of
allowed.
people don't seem to understand the difference.
Well, they call it soft censorship, isn't it? Which is basically, the right-wing equivalent of a microaggression.
Yes.
It's
Yeah.
this. They
It's
have
rather
to
impressive.
have to include that censor word in there to really get people emotional, isn't it? Really.
Yeah. Well, it's really interesting. The people who had no problem taking the advertisers away from gaming sites for shitty behavior, and quite rightly so, suddenly have a problem when it happens to them.
Yeah, and everyone just censorship. It's like, dude, my country lived under a dictatorship, and I cannot bring this up enough. That's not censorship. You Americans and Brits need to grow a couple of balls and learn what real censorship is.
Well, we do have some censorship in the UK, just not the equivalent that these shitheads are talking about.
Yeah,
I think the argument is more so like the way that they're presenting themselves. It's fine if you're going to present yourself as a left-wing commentary site or something like that. But like if you're going to present yourself as a free speech outlet, just the same way that Twitter did, they actually have that marquee up at their headquarters, and then they specifically, the Jack Dorsey comes out and states that they have a left-wing bias at the company.
So, Cole is apparently going to Rotherham to complain about Labour's complicity in the Muslim rape gangs.
okay.
I'm glad he's let us know. I can go and get some milkshake.
Yeah, well, it's rather interesting because I was looking at a YouTuber who was talking about this, and he lives in the area, or I think he lives in Barnsley, actually, but somewhere around this whole thing. Apparently, in Rotherham or Barnsley, whichever one it is, funnily enough, for a long while, there were a lot of white supremacists in that area who held marches every Saturday, which resulted in people not wanting to even bother do their shopping, and shopkeepers didn't even bother opening for this reason. This got so bad that the council actually put a stop to these right-wing marches. So, put simply, if Carl goes over there, he's going to get arrested on a community order.
Yeah, and also, I'm betting that it wasn't the Muslims doing rapes. I'm betting it was Tommy Robinson and his little clique.
Well, to be honest with you, the thing is that all he has to do is sit there and moan about the fact that children were being raped by Muslim rape gangs or whatever like that, and you got to go, but Carl, it depends on the child.
Yeah.
Some of them, come on, mate. I mean,
There were paedophile gangs operating in the Rotherham area, and yes, most of them were of ex-Pakistani stroke Muslim extraction. But it wasn't just them. There were white people involved as well, but they never get a mention.
Well, it's when people sort of talk
Because
about
it
this sort of thing,
doesn't fit the
oh yeah,
narrative.
you're too afraid, because it's Muslims, and so why the wait with Jimmy Savile then? Because it was a pretty long wait. Everybody fucking knew, but they said nothing. Why did they say nothing? Was he a Muslim?
With Jimmy, I mean, who's Johnny Rotten?
Oh yeah, he knew about it, and he did try to say.
He
Well, no,
said it- he said
the
it
thing
in
is,
an interview
everybody
in the
knew
late
about it, but
80s.
no, the thing is, everybody knew about it, but nobody had any evidence of it. They just said it amongst themselves. You see.
Ah, true.
So it's very difficult to sort of, to say this. And if you imagine, just hang on, Sean. If you imagine in that Rotherham area, yeah, imagine we were talking about, the white nationalist sort of marches, all that sort of business, yeah. So if you're say, a member of the police or a councillor or whatever like that, and you hear a bunch of people complaining about a bunch of Muslims raping kids, I don't think it's because you're afraid of pointing out that it's a Muslim doing it. I think it's more along the lines of you're probably looking at these fucks and thinking, bullshitters. They just want us to fucking get under their fucking skin again. Because I very much doubt that there weren't a few false reports beforehand about people.
Yeah,
So
it's like in YouTube, people abusing the report system and then saying, "Oh, look, they're censoring everybody." It's like, well, you abused the system first, mate. This is why people don't believe you now.
I mean, Jimmy Savile wasn't. I mean, Savile wasn't the first, and it definitely won't be the last. I mean, there was.
Also, let's talk about the fact that there's a lot of MPs in the parliament that fuck kids, and nobody talks about them.
I'm trying to bring one up. If you'd shut up, Cyril Smith, who was an MP for Rochdale, and he got stopped and arrested, and
hey, Abigail.
he was taken to a police station, and all the stuff. Basically, some bloke in the old grey suit turned up, a Mac, flashed his card, took all the evidence, and let him go. And this is back. This would be. I'm not certain if it's 60s or 70s.
Well, he died in 2010, and that's where all the shit came
it
out.
wasn't until basically the Savile thing started. And even then, with Savile, it was people had reported things, and they'd just gone, "Oh no."
Savile. Well, there was plenty of rumor around Savile that he knew plenty of people that would be implicated. And this is what I think. This is why they wait until he was dead. That way, he can't give anybody away.
Yeah, I mean, it's horrible to think about.
Mm. But yeah, like I said,
I used to. Well, I worked when I worked with people with special needs. One of the parents lived in the same flat as Jimmy Savile, and Savile was alive at this stage. And and we were at Jimmy's flat the other day. Always going on about Jimmy this, Jimmy that, Jimmy that. And after he died, and then all started coming out, all of a sudden it was like nothing.
Mm.
They never mentioned him at all. I mean, the block of flats. I mean, he had the top flat. They've actually removed that flat. The whole layer's just been.
Whoa!
They just got nope. You're gonna. It's a bit like with Stalin and just erasing people from the pictures, like never existed.
The residents did that because nobody would buy a flat. Yeah, I want to sell me flat. Jimmy Savile used to live there. You've lost everything, which is just bizarre. I mean, to me, all right, so what?
The thing about paedophile politicians in the UK, though, Luca, it should be pointed out, one of the big conspiracy theories in the UK, by major conspiracy theorists, is that every MP is a paedophile and that there's all these paedophile generals in Westminster.
No, I'm not saying that they're all pedophiles. I'm just saying.
Oh, I know.
You have these white folks in Westminster being pedophiles, and Tommy Robinson doesn't go down there and shout at them, "You evil bastards."
But my point is, those conspiracy theorists actually make it impossible for anyone to believe the ones that are actually speaking out.
A lot of wolf crying out there.
I mean, I'm not. I mean, we have politicians in my country who go out with prostitutes and do drugs and do all this shit.
Berlusconi.
Yeah, and not just him. And then they put it on the fucking government tab and everything else, and it's not like I'm not used to politicians being slimy. I mean, for fuck's sake, my entire parliament is like that. But yeah, it's just Tommy Robinson being a fucking hypocrite. If it's a brown person you can pick on, yeah, you're just gonna bully him. If it's a white person and it's powerful, he's not gonna touch them because he's a bully.
So
just like Carl Swindon touch, but that'll make him lose any power.
Well, I think he's pretty much a drop in the ocean at this point, to be honest. He's put himself into, these are the desperate sort of Milo-like overtures of somebody who's about to face irrelevance.
What, like Farage, who basically wants a seat at the negotiating table with Brexit?
Well, he's not going to. He can't even get, you need MPs there to do that, not MEPs. MEPs are to do with the European Parliament. MPs are to do with, Britain dealing with the European Parliament. There is a difference.
Oh, what was that constituency that had the by-election?
Oh yeah, he tried to win there,
And the one in
he
Leicester.
did-
In Plymouth or something?
What?
Peterborough?
Peterborough, thank you. That's the
How
The
did
one
I
appar-
know that and you not know that?
apparently he went there so confident he was going that the Brexit Party was going to win, and when it didn't win, he hid in a toilet or something.
Yeah, and he asked for a
So-
re-election because his party didn't win. It's like, oh, okay, Nigel, can we have the Brexit referendum again?
Yeah,
No,
do-over.
no,
That's right.
evil,
Uh,
anti-democracy dictatorship. Okay, Nigel.
I'm a little curious about that. Wasn't the Labour person under committed a crime of some sort, like
The
perjury?
previous MP
No, the
had
previous one.
spent time in jail for lying in court. I forget the correct phrase. And
Perjury.
Perjury.
She perjured herself in court.
Yeah.
She got time in Nick, but it wasn't enough time that would have forced her to resign. But the people of Peterborough can do what's called recall, and to do a recall, you
Right.
need 10% of the electorate to say we're not happy with what she's doing. And she got 27% of the electorate went, we don't want you anymore.
Wait, can Peterborough specifically do that?
Yeah, any you can all do that.
It's called democracy, bro.
Well,
If
no,
you're not
I
happy
just thought
with the behaviour of your MP, if 10% of the electorate get to sign a petition and
petition.
say we want her out, then
You tell me.
Yeah.
The last time in British
I
politics,
still find that the Farage actually asked for a re-election. It's like, can we vote again, please? I didn't win anything. I'm
No, but
sorry.
she didn't win though. It was a different Labour MP that won.
The thing is that whole recall. Actually, I do remember some years ago an MP trying to get that through Parliament, but I didn't think he succeeded as a private member's bill.
But so it wasn't that Labour member who won, correct? It was a different member of Labour.
Whole
it
different
was
one.
different.
Okay.
I'm
Got it.
trying to think. It was
Oh, okay.
on the use. God, I'm not even going to try and pronounce the previous MP's name.
I saw
I mean,
Corbyn.
as an MP, she wasn't bad. She just lied for her brother about a drink driving charge.
But she's no longer.
He was also a convicted drug dealer. Had nothing to do with it, honest.
But so she's not there anymore. She got replaced by a different person now. Okay.
But yeah,
I saw Corbyn.
listen-
That makes more sense because I saw Corbyn there and he was like super happy because UKIP lost and he was like, "Oh, I'm so happy." And I was like, "Isn't she a criminal? Why are you so happy?" That makes sense.
Yeah,
It was-
Lisa Forbes. Lisa Forbes won, and Mike Green was the Brexit Party. And it's funny because like, oh, I didn't win. Can we have another recount? No, Nigel, you can't. Sorry, it's just.
So, and apparently she was grilled over anti-Semitism.
I also, of course, want to ask about.
Well, it's Labour
Well,
at
of
this
course,
point.
she's a member of Labour.
So
What do you
yeah,
expect?
let's
It's
have
par for the course.
let's see what she said that was anti-Semitic.
Oh, okay.
Defending
Oh, you want to
herself.
actually look through these things?
Yeah. What's the point of that?
Okay, so she actually liked a video of children praying about the atrocities that happened in New Zealand. Hadn't paid much attention to the text above, and I apologise for that, and I'm really sorry.
It was the Board of Deputies of British Jews, Jewish Leadership Council and Community Security Trust, which basically said that
Miss Force liked a Facebook video last week that said Theresa May had a Zionist slave master's agenda. Okay. So where's the anti-Semitic bit?
When will
I mean-
members of political parties and governments just learn to just not like things on Facebook and or Twitter? Just stop it entirely. There's no benefit to doing it.
I mean, one of the problems with listening to the Jewish Council of Great Britain is that the fact that they're rather right wing and actually shove the odd couple of quid into the Conservative Party. So they're not going to be unbiased at all.
They
Oh, yeah.
wouldn't just throw anti-Semitism around willy-nilly just to fuck with their political opponents. It's not like they treat anybody on the left as though they really like Muslims for no apparent reason.
Well, do you remember when, was it last year or the year before, when Corbyn attended the Shabbat, not Shabbat celebration,
With the wrong Jews.
Yeah, he went with the wrong Jews.
What, Jews that don't hate Palestinians?
He went with the left-wing Jews and not the right-wing Jews.
Okay.
Jews.
See, this is the thing, you see. If you're left-wing, you're not Jewish. That's how it works.
It was the group. He went to Judas, which he spelled Jewdas. They are quite. Yeah, I mean, I think it's quite a witty little pun on Judas, but there we go. He went to the Judas celebration as opposed to an approved Council of Jewish Council of Great Britain's group.
Personally, I'm sure I could forgive Corbyn for that. I just wouldn't be able to forgive him if he was hanging around with a Frenchman.
That can happen.
Could you forgive him if he met with Donald Trump?
Oh, blimey.
Oh god, did you see the meeting with the Queen? I mean, I think
Actually, weirdly, she did seem to be enjoying his company.
Yeah, I think the royal family likes Trump, actually.
I do want.
Do you want to know how you can tell if the royal family like him or not? How many turn up? That's
True.
how you tell. And in case you hadn't noticed, Charles went there because the Queen's 90 and she's a bit doddery.
He's head of state in his way around the world.
He's basically head in all but name.
Right.
The kids, nowhere to be seen.
Yeah, and also
he even called what's her name, the latest woman, Markle or whatever her name is.
Meghan Markle.
Yeah, Meghan Markle.
Thank you. He called her nasty as he was.
No, he didn't.
Over.
Yes, no, he didn't. It's fake news. No, he didn't. I was told it was fake news on Fox News.
Yeah. Also, he apparently ordered Coke at dinner. It's like, dude, come on, it's a formal dinner. For goodness sake, get water. Or let me.
He ordered Coke, and half the Conservative Party just went, "Oh, that's a good idea."
So the point they made when Trump was in Japan, they talked about how he had American burgers in Japan, and this was meant as sort of like to show like how obsequious the Japanese were, that they would go through this much effort to get American beef imported. But I've said this on the show, and Matt was like, wait, so they're willing to allow him to eat less quality food? That's not very nice. Why would you do that? I thought they were supposed to.
Both me and Robin have been to Japan. I'm sure we can both tell you they have Burger Kings and McDonald's over there.
Yes.
Yes.
And open door porn places where you can just walk in, sit yourself down, switch on a DVD, and just knock one out.
That's slowly changing.
It wasn't McDonald's.
Now, Robin, actually.
It was like Wagyu or Neiman Ranch beer or something.
I mean, it's like
the point is they have burgers there.
Yes.
I mean,
that was Matt's point. It was like, yes, but
they have terrible coffee.
The locally sourced meat is better. Why
The
would you want
Japanese,
that?
the Japanese are brilliant at many things, but they are not good at coffee. I know you're silenced by that. Yeah, their Starbucks was terrible. It was
only
just
because
weak.
I don't drink tea or coffee, so I don't
want to sound horrible, but coffee and Starbucks in the same sentence.
That's all I could find, mate. It's literally all I could find for coffee out there. They don't really have a lot of places. Went to a few hotels and stuff like that. Most of them don't even have one. It's like, what is wrong with everybody here? I almost complained.
Robert,
Well,
I should
British,
actually.
I wouldn't expect you to do anything else.
Well,
Robert, I should also point out if you didn't hear the Japanese stores are slowly getting rid of their pornography now.
Oh, that's a shame.
In a run-up to the 2020 Olympics.
Oh, that's a shame. There's a lot of entertainment to be had in those places. A lot of sticky entertainment.
Well, I'm talking about more the things like Family Mart and all the other stuff. That's one, because of the 2020 Olympics, and two, because mothers were complaining about taking their children in there and seeing all the porn.
So they're, they have westernized a lot.
Yes.
Certainly in Tokyo, they've westernized a lot.
Well, it's multicultural cities are norm, are they not?
Well, in multicultural cities, yes, that's quite normal.
If you want your country to, attract visitors, you have to cater for them.
Also, speaking of multicultural cities, do you remember that John Cleese tweet about the London not being English?
I heard something about him saying that.
Yeah, he did. I mean, I'll give John Cleese a lot of things because comedically, very good. Intelligence, very good. Bit of a shitty statement, yeah. I mean, he did. I mean, what was he said? A friend of mine, and it was a non-English friend that he was talking to in the West Indies. So obviously they've been to London a lot. Had said it to him in passing, and he then reported this as, my friend said that London isn't English anymore.
Well, of course it's not English. They hate the Brexit Party and they hate Brexit. They're obviously much saner than the rest of the country.
Excuse me, my city voted Remain as well, so don't fucking start on me, you I-type bastard.
Yeah.
I'll page you again.
Yeah, my town voted Remain. It was
We'll burn your
60-40, but it
pasta.
voted Remain.
I think it's mostly the countryside that voted Leave. It's like, yeah, what is it with people out there and just hating the world?
What's more worrying about all of that was, I don't know if you heard it in the rest of the world, that Boris Johnson was being going to court to be held responsible for lying in a public office.
Yeah, well, that's been thrown out now.
Yeah.
Or Michael Gove apparently.
Wait,
I did cocaine.
Hang on, that's been thrown out?
Yeah.
Yes, it was thrown out because apparently it's okay to lie in public, but not okay to lie in private. That was the argument his defense solicitor came up with.
Oh my god.
What the hell?
You can lie in public, but not in private.
Imagine
Okay,
if
so remember that. It's important.
Imagine if a Labour MP had used that excuse. He'd be fucking trashed in the press. Like, oh, Labour doesn't care about the law.
Mate, we're talking about a country where in the last 48 hours, half the people who are trying to be leaders of the Conservative Party, as in the next Prime Minister, have all admitted to taking cocaine. The newspapers haven't, forget that. There's a certain Labour MP, might be slightly black, might be the Shadow Home Secretary, had a can on, was it Mojito? On a train a few months ago, and she was castigated by the press. Yeah, we don't have double standards in the UK.
Yeah, I was actually kind of
quintuple, sextuple, but not double.
Yeah, I remember when it was announced that Boris would be going to court, but the penalty was actually life in prison. I thought, holy shit, our politicians actually passed a law that actually is effective against politicians. And then I learned, it's from the 13th century. That would be why. That would have been a time where they actually cared about.
I still find it like Go was made to apologize for doing cocaine when he was a kid. It's like it was how long ago exactly?
We've got Gove on cocaine, Boris on cocaine.
When has Boris not been on cocaine?
Yeah. George, he's now editor at the Evening Standard. He's been on cocaine in the bloody House of Commons.
Yeah, you know. I think I was talking about it at the dinner tonight, and I was talking about Jacob Rees-Mogg being backwards. He wouldn't do cocaine; he would do opium because that's a drug of choice of the gentlemen of the 1800s.
No, even believe it or not, the person who's favourite in the polls to win the Tory leadership was admitted to smoking opium at a wedding a few years back.
Who is this?
Which one was this?
I can't remember his name. He's a really weird-looking one.
Is he the one that's been big on social media at the moment?
Yeah.
I know the one you're talking about, but I can never remember his name.
Dominic Raab?
No, not him. Not him at all.
The worst he's done is probably sniffed a lemon paper napkin.
Hang on, I'm gonna Google Tory leadership contestant, whatever.
It's just the standards held in that place is just getting worse.
Are you surprised?
Well, you know what they say about corruption. Great fun.
I mean, at least my politicians admit to being crooked.
I must admit, your politicians do it with style. Ours do.
Yeah, they
Ours
totally
do it
did.
with this brash. Oh well.
Rory Stewart.
That's the man.
Yeah, actually, I've got to find a video of him because not particularly funny, but he found a very interesting place, very brave place to sit at some point.
Well, he's done some weird things as Rory Stewart. He's so
Oh, he's in charge of international development, and no, he
well,
used
his
to be in charge
latest
of.
thing he's come out with is that the youth should basically do national service.
What conscription? What
But-
conscription?
But instead, not in the army, community
okay.
work.
Oh, okay,
basically-
I actually agree with that sort of thing because I did that sort
But
of thing.
that's basically slavery,
Well,
isn't it? Thou shalt go up and pick out. Thou shalt go and pick up litter. Thou shalt. You know. I mean, think about what it is. You know, service in the community. You haven't got a job. Go and decorate the old lady's house, whether she wants it or not. Yeah.
well,
It's, you know,
That's-
it sounds,
that's the
it sounds
drugs.
good.
That's
You
the
know,
drugs.
when you're old, it sounds lovely, great. You know, youth of today, no, and then you think back, as I'm still vaguely able to do, to school and being sent out on RE projects, and one of them was to go to old people's houses and help them out. And you think, hang on, well, that was part of I was getting a qualification. It was part of an O level.
Well,
Fair enough. But no, we're not doing that. We're sending you out to go and do. Basically, we've cut social services, we've cut local funding, and to replace it, instead of giving money to the councils to boost this again, we're going to basically involve slave labour. How nice.
okay, so Boris Johnson is leading the polls.
yeah, see what it was.
It depends. Rory, I mean, I can't remember. I just noticed it earlier on that Rory Stewart had taken over from Boris. Basically, it's a question: do you want a person who's mainlined opium or mainlined cocaine?
But anyway, going back to the idea of people obviously being demonetized and soft censored, I've never monetized this channel, so does that mean that I'm actually soft self-censoring?
Yeah, I've been always, ever since Gamergate started, I suddenly realised, a lot of people seem to be monetizing their channels. Why? What's so big about this?
Well, because they could. That's one thing.
Well, yeah, now I realise that.
Yeah, there's that. I mean, to be honest with you, for me, I'm looking at, I've seen loads and loads of people doing this sort of thing, and if you have a look in, you've got somebody in the 10s, 20s, 30,000s and stuff like that. And that's like a couple of bucks a month.
If you
It's nothing.
look at,
It's nothing.
you look at live streams that do super chat, and I mean, I've watched the odd.
That'll
live
get you
stream,
some dollary
and
dues.
super
Yeah.
chat, ping, and
Growl.
if
You're right there, mate.
If I pay you $5,
Hey, crowd.
will you talk to me? If I give you $10, will you mention my name?
It's like,
How you doing?
yeah, it's a bit sad. We were just talking about super chats.
If I give you $5, will you burn your nipples?
I heard that you guys were talking about the Adpocalypse 2.0 or whatever people are calling it.
Mm.
I have to add something about it though.
Go on, then.
As much as you might disagree, like at least this is what I was told, that you disagree that it was censorship and so forth. And yeah, there's an argument for that to be made. Just because you're not paid doesn't mean that you're being censored. But the thing that really infuriates me about the entirety of this is that so many great YouTube channels that are absolutely and completely disconnected from the entirety of this political bullshit mess. People who probably never in their lives even heard of someone like Stephen Crowder.
Totally uninvolved, yeah.
Yeah, lost their livelihoods yesterday.
The educational people.
No, not just education people. I'm talking about history YouTubers. I'm talking about a personal friend of mine who is an American historian who makes videos debunking Holocaust deniers. I'm talking about a...
I'm sure he'll get his channel sorted out once he's talked to them. Yeah.
No, he's not getting his channel back.
Well, he's lost the whole thing.
If I may finish, several history channels. Yeah, his channel got completely flagged off. And he hasn't yet heard back from YouTube.
That's weird.
And he only had around 4,000 subscribers. But then we're talking about gaming channels, which at some point, maybe throughout the last 4 years, may have made a video criticizing social justice, but don't usually talk about that. We're talking about movie channels that maybe at some point made fun of the Ghostbusters.
Why
movie.
is my channel still here? What's going on?
Yeah. No. And the other thing is, a channel that was brought to my attention that also went down is a boxing channel, which existed for 7 years. I had no idea why it got taken down. Just
violence, mate. Too much violence.
No, it's not even violence. It's just a guy in his 20s who's a professional boxer, and he makes these videos not showing off boxing matches, but basically talking about how you can train yourself, reviewing various different training gears, fitness gears, various different equipment that people can use to train themselves. Just a young fitness guy, a fitness coach guy, giving you tips on how to train yourself.
Very odd,
Channel
isn't it?
completely gone.
It's very odd that all of these sort of seemingly random sites have been picked out.
Well, it is a testament to YouTube's fucked up algorithm doing this, because this was clearly a bot. But
yeah, well, that's
Or
it's an algorithm thing.
well, there's also obviously the let's make the problem so we can complain about it brigade. I mean,
you think people true?
I wouldn't assume that they'll just have sat there. Let's say that.
You think people actively went out and flagged people?
Well, let's say this. Has there ever been an occasion where someone hasn't?
Well, I'm gonna be saying, like, look, mate, I also dismiss this stupid conspiracy theory that this all happened because of Fox union bargaining, you know. So I also have to dismiss this on the grounds that there's not enough evidence for it. Sorry.
Well, yeah, I'm doing this in the same way as I understand that aliens exist. I just don't think that they've turned up on this planet. In this particular case, almost every single fucking day, there's somebody basically false flagging, places down.
Falsely flagging.
Yes, I would say. You do have people doing all of this brigading for their own personal reasons, for fun, to try and shut somebody up, whatever like that. Give them a taste of their own medicine, whatever the fuck.
I mean, you can brigade for cash too. That's a thing.
Or
Yummy.
just because they haven't gone the fuck outside.
You know that people who heavily dislike Stephen Crowder are now rallying to him and supporting him.
Well, they're idiots.
But I mean, this.
Look, I don't understand why all of these people can't form their own awesome video sharing website and share all of the videos they want to on, like Vimeo still exists, even if like Vimeo kicks them off, which they won't.
And isn't there
why can't they upload the videos again as well? My understanding is that if they've been taken down...
All I see when I go to YouTube...
If they've taken down an error, can't they be re-uploaded?
All I see on YouTube, all day, all the time I see on YouTube is Vimeo just kind of going, "Love me, you bitch!" It's just...
and Drew, isn't there some other site, maybe something you might know, or I don't know?
Nah.
Is it rigged?
He was trying to help you plug, dude.
Drew, is the game
I'm still going to insist that this is overall really bad for content creators. This is overall just really bad for content creators. It's not good.
Can I ask you a question? Kraut, what's the video that
you don't have a right to make money endlessly from...
I have a genius idea, by the way. Let's all talk over each other.
Let's just wait for the moderator to give the question to Kraut. What you've had? What's the maximum amount of subscribers you've ever had in your YouTube?
150,000.
150k. Okay. What's the most you've ever been viewed? For
300k.
300k. So how much did you make? How much did you make out of that 300k?
About $800 in advertising revenue.
$800, yeah.
Yeah. That's it. $600 maybe. Not entirely sure.
Is that a day or a month?
No.
In total.
When it comes to YouTube revenue before the apocalypse. And now I just have people who flag my videos so the adverts get removed. But before all that shit, I made about $900 a month with ads, I think.
So you have to
before
be
the
in
apocalypse.
you have to be in the top 100,000 sort of mark to have something that's worth a livelihood.
People who with a channel of my size usually make 5 times the money I made, because they do things like, you know, plastering 4 ads on one 15-minute video.
There's the Patreon, of course. There's merch.
Yeah,
right.
I was going to say,
yeah,
I don't know.
yeah, exactly.
But you can still do that.
I don't sell merch. I have a patron, but I don't do the kind of shilling that a lot of others do.
I was going to
Being
say,
demonetized doesn't mean you can't still make your money through Patreon.
No, but it's still annoying as fuck. Are you gonna walk up to that boxing channel and say, "Hey, you can still use Patreon, mate"?
The thing is, $900 a month. I don't know the exchange rate between pounds and dollars, but
It's about £700.
Sorry,
About 700 quid.
okay, that's less than my minimum wage.
Right.
Well, less than what I get, and I'm on minimum wage. Sorry.
Well,
Excuse
it's as long as you're not actually paying that much rent and you're keeping yourself going, it's survivable. Let's say
Right.
that. But just about.
But it's a lot of work just to survive, though. I mean, isn't it more? I would say, to get that many viewers.
I mean, for
But
me, I remember
haven't
some people have asked me, they've said to me, so, you know, what do you think I should do to grow my channel? Should I do like a live show? And I'm like, no. Don't do a live show if you want to grow. Don't do it. I literally have a channel dedicated to
mate.
yeah.
Doesn't work.
Dedicated just live channel. No. Get, you know, put out some sort of like, you know, 10, 20-minute videos or whatever like that. Yeah, don't bother monetizing them. Just go straight for the Patreon thing. Keep it out the way. I mean, if you become to the point where you are commercially viable, and this all depends on your content, of course. If you are a commercially viable YouTuber, and you know you're I don't know, reviewing fucking tech or phones or whatever the hell it is, you will be monetized. If you're just going to basically moan about the capitalists, you're not going to get monetized, guys. You're whining about capitalism and then expecting adverts. Can you see the disconnect there? And the other thing is that for some reason or another, there's a lot of people in business who don't like people who go death to the kikes every 15 seconds too. It's just weird.
Yeah.
They're just not into that kind of deal. So
well, it's not just people like that who got flagged.
Yeah, well, what's going on is, of course, is that everyone's putting pressure on everybody else. Everyone's putting pressure on YouTube to do this as well. Advertisers as well, and they're like kind of going, we're sick and tired of this. We're sick and tired of people complaining. We're sick and tired of people doing this. We're sick and tired of all of this sort. This democratization of the media comes up with a lot of these problems, and this is why the advertisers aren't interested in basically listening to fucking Hicksville muck nigger hater as he basically talks about how the white genocide is about to come along. By the way, would anyone like a drink of cola? It just doesn't. It's just not. It's not what any controversy, advertising. Not good bedfellows. They just tend to stay away from each other.
But you know, this entire thing could have been avoided if Carlos Maza, whatever his fucking name is pronounced, would have just made a tweet kind of going, "Lol, look at this pathetic wimp." Just laughed it off.
I don't disagree that you know, my personal opinion is that he needs to like man up and not just like immediately appeal to the authorities because of, you know, some words. But
this
that's
didn't just
my
happen
opinion.
overnight,
You
guys.
don't get to actually like you don't get to decide for other people the amount of abuse that they are willing to accept.
He didn't. Do you really honestly think that they're going to listen to one pithy little journalist in some fucking magazine? They're a multi-billion-dollar operation. They don't just do that overnight.
Right.
I think it's more a case of the straw that broke the camel's back. He's kicking off about it. They're kicking off about it. We're getting shit about everybody kicking off about it. Fuck it. We're going to rewrite the bot, and it's just going to say, if you do this, you go.
Yeah.
Well, there's also
I need to go back, by the way, and work on my stuff.
No
I
worries,
just wanted
mate.
to
Thank you for coming back.
come in and shit on it.
That's my line, but as I said,
Let's do
thanks
it.
for
Working
stopping
on
by.
your
Take it
shit.
easy, mate.
You, mate.
That was cool.
You're wrong. I mean, controversy advertising doesn't go well. I remember when
Totally agree with him, but it's cool that it came back.
I remember when Coca-Cola were doing that fun thing where you put some words in, and it would use those words to create a picture. And some Gawker journalist decided to use some passage from Mein Kampf.
Yeah. Because
Coca-Cola didn't like that.
Well, this is going to happen.
And also, it's like, this idea that you shouldn't go to the authorities if you're being bullied. It's like, why? Well, because then the police will start beating up people. That's their fucking job.
No, it's not. It's Italian police's job to beat up people.
Or Russian police.
Yeah, the American police just shoot you.
Yeah.
British police.
Well, we don't.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the way the news are carried on, we've cut them so much we don't do anything.
Well, their racism is at
British
least.
police give you a crime number.
Yeah, the racism in the police in the UK, at least they keep it under their hat. I mean, America. I was thinking about this sort of like American sort of black-white relations versus the UK. It's very different. Because I mean, in America, like they're getting all of these messages, and everyone's saying to them, "You can legally own a gun," and every black person in America is like, "Really? Are you sure about that?" Because every time I see one of my mates holding a gun, there's a policeman shooting him.
I strongly support.
He's got a gun.
It's like
he's supposed to. He's American. What the fuck? Why is it he's got a gun? The go-to for the police, dude. Surely you should be expecting this, seeing as like you're in America and people have a right to that shit. It's like kind of going, he has eyes. You know, he's got hair. Look at him. He's walking. He's using his legs. So, but yeah, what? Where's the panic? But yeah, that's
one of the things.
He's standing around.
One of the things that made me very sad. I remember there was like one of the protests. There was like a Black Lives Matter protest, and InfoWars journalists were covering it, and I guess they didn't feel safe or something. So the Oath Keepers came in to like be security for the InfoWars guys while they were at the Black Lives Matter protest, which is fine, right? Obviously, what could go wrong here? But the Oath Keepers actually were offering some of the Black Lives Matter people to have firearms lessons and stuff, and like and what I saw from the Black Lives Matter people, they would say, "No, don't do it. It's a trap. They want you to arm up so that you'll get shot by cops." And I was like, "Really? I don't think that's true, actually." As I strongly support the arming of black people. I think it would be beneficial to.
What's your position on the arming of toddlers?
Well, I mean, if they go through the proper forms and can, prove that they are responsible gun owners, but I think you should have to go through you need to be educated first.
You know, it literally just occurred right from. I said that as a joke. I suddenly remember watching Channel 4 News, and I do remember children at firing ranges.
Yeah, I mean, I remember my favorite was that 8-year-old with that Uzi. When
that wasn't a good idea.
Yeah, that was really funny.
Not a good. I don't understand.
No, it was a really good idea. It was a really good idea. That person, that dead guy who was teaching that little girl how to fire that gun and died doing it. That was a good thing.
Hey, they train them. They train them like that in Israel.
That was a good thing. That was a good thing. And it has scared the shit out of that little girl. That little 8-year-old girl, has now killed another human being. And this is a good thing. This is a good thing. She's learned a valuable lesson in life.
Also, how much?
You just want to do a show where you just repeat yourself for 5 hours?
Good.
Don't they do that in his? Don't they do that in
interrupting people, Drew?
Yeah.
Good thing.
Yeah, Drew. That's Luca's job.
Very.
Yeah. I know, right?
Also, it's
stop interrupting each other.
Young.
Let Luca speak.
Boys. Yeah, I think the only time that the U.S. would think about rewriting the Second Amendment is when communists get their hands on guns.
Yeah,
it's like, oh shit.
Yeah, pretty
much. Oh shit. It's like it's not right-wing people this time. Yes.
No, I agree. The left should arm. I think the left is very stupid for not arming.
Yeah, they should arm and then say,
only in America.
What are you gonna do now? Second Amendment, bitches. Well,
that's right.
Yeah.
the gun culture in America does surprise me. I mean, like I said, I saw a documentary on Channel 4 News, or a little news item rather on Channel 4 News, and I remember seeing a little girl that's at the shooting range, and she's got her gun out, and she's saying, "This one's pinky, and this one." Jesus Christ! You actually treat it like a toy.
Yeah, I mean, like, I get people in America who love these circle guns, who talk about them. I like those shows. But children with guns, I mean, unless it's a Nerf gun.
Yeah, actually,
no.
the story they were doing.
It's not like they own them. It's like
do.
you go down there, your parents teach you to shoot. It's not like you get to just have a gun.
Yeah,
at your
well,
own.
there's part of the problem. The parents teach them.
Yeah, the part of
Sure.
the story they were doing on Channel 4.
Unfortunately, there's no laws that can prevent bad
The
parenting.
story on Channel 4 News, actually, they were actually talking to these women who want to teach young girls how to shoot, and teaching them how not to be afraid of the gun. And I'm thinking, no, you should be afraid of the gun. That is literally why you should.
No,
I don't
need
think
to
you
be
can
afraid of
fear.
the gun.
No, you don't.
You
Right,
need
you
to
respect the gun.
the weapon
Exactly. That's
and
right.
what it can do.
That's
I
right.
mean,
Which kills you.
Well, it
I'm
can.
kind of
also put a hole in the wall.
before I was allowed to shoot on the range, as in allow a gun in my hands with live ammo, I think it was about 5 hours of training. And this is just stupid things like all the safety things.
Right.
And literally, you go into a room. There's a gun lying on the floor, and the guy goes, "Right, take control of the weapon." And if the first thing you don't do is check the safeties on, you kick straight out.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, it's almost
so-
as if we're actually
it's
very secure in this
safety
country.
first. It's literally safety catch, magazine off, turn to one side, cock it 3 times, get the expended round out, take them around, put it back in the magazine, put the magazine in your pouch.
It's almost as if we're very serious about gun safety in this country.
Be fair, that was the army. I mean,
Oh,
I mean,
right.
yeah, I mean that's not
Yeah.
quite
But even then,
forest shooting on the ranges. But I mean,
Right.
safety is. It's so. I mean, you could hurt somebody.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, I
My
need
God,
to
you could
teach
even
people.
kill them if you really.
You need
bad,
to
you know?
you need to teach people how to fucking aim as well, because all these cowboys in America just think, oh, I'm in a fucking Walmart, it is a robbery, I'm gonna start shooting at people. There's 10 people in front of you. You're gonna miss the guy, and you're gonna kill everybody else.
Luca, cowboy is quite literally the word. My dad keeps talking about this, but America they still think they're cowboys.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, in the old cowboy era, you used to have to give your guns to the sheriff when you entered the fucking town.
Yeah, they had
because,
they had much stricter gun control back in those days. Yeah.
Yeah, the irony.
I was on a stream, an American stream, after the shooting in the nightclub.
Oh, the gay nightclub?
Yeah, and one of the people there, I got into a bit of a discussion about, where his point was, if I'd been there and been armed, I'd have shot them. And I said, so you're in a nightclub, there's lots of loud noises in the nightclub, there's flashing lights going off in a nightclub, the nightclub's dark apart from the flashing lights. Who are you shooting?
Uh-huh. Yeah, he's full of crap. They actually, I remember in the wake of the Vegas shooting, they had Hannity was like, well, if I'd have been there, if someone was in a gun, if they hadn't have checked guns at the security, someone in the crowd in the gun could have shot up and maybe have stopped something. And Laura Ingram had to be the sane one in the room going, yeah, no, pretty sure. I mean, he was on the 50th floor. Pretty sure you ain't gonna fucking hit anything if you tried to do that. Well, it's like, are you serious?
There were you're talking about the one in Las Vegas.
Las Vegas.
Yeah, there were armed.
Shoot back at the Vegas shooter.
There were armed.
Had to be the sane one.
There were armed people there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're not gonna shoot someone on the 50th floor with a pistol.
The guy who
with an RPG.
The guy who was singing was a guns rights activist until that day.
Oh, really? Did he change his mind?
Yeah, when he realized
he
how
had security that was armed, and they had that conversation of, do we do anything? And they were like, no, because we'll just hit somebody else, because we don't know where it's coming from, obviously.
The police will think we're the shooters.
Identifying the target is rather important.
But the thing is, if you're shooting back, the police coming in are going to think that you're the shooters, so they'll start taking you down.
Right.
Yeah. Also, how are you gonna hit someone on the 50th floor with a pistol? You're gonna have to grab an RPG
I don't want
and
to sound
shoot
funny,
at the
Luca. We're
fucking guy.
talking about people who shoot up tornadoes.
But there's
I just thought it was funny. Like, you're really in trouble when Laura Ingraham is the rational one in the room, trying to dissuade you of a course of action.
Did you
screwed
see
up royally.
You remember the school shooting a couple of years back? You've had so many, I can't remember which one.
I was about to talk about one, actually.
It's the police officer that didn't go rushing into the school.
Yes!
Oh, yeah.
I was literally about to talk about that one. I mean,
America's charge.
I'm not down with this
Didn't
entirely.
run into the school.
Yeah, except thing is, they completely discharged him because you didn't run into the school to help. There was a guy with a gun. There was a guy with a gun. That's a fucking terrifying thing.
Yeah, but he is a police officer, so that is his job, is to run into dangerous situations. So that would argue.
Well, I mean, let's be fair. I mean, Donald Trump would have said he would have run into there.
Sure, he did say that. Now he's full of shit, obviously.
Yeah,
but
I mean, obviously you had to wait until his bone spurs had stopped hurting. But I mean, he would have been there.
Oh,
My thing is,
that is just one of the reasons where at a Donald Trump event, I'm gonna regret saying this, but I actually would like to see a shooter there just to see Donald, run and hide and pretty much prove he's a complete coward and doesn't do what he says.
So you want people murdered just for a political point?
No, I don't want him actually murdered. I want him attempted.
No,
to
other
be murdered,
people.
Just so...
Yeah, other people will be killed because of this action. You know,
this is why I said I would regret saying that.
Yeah, this is some lib triggering sort of business that I'm seeing here. So, well, I've none of that.
My issue with. I don't really have a problem with him being charged or going to jail, but what I think is sort of unfair is that the head of Scott Israel, who was the sheriff for Broward County, was the person who instituted a change in the rules of engagement for police officers, where it used to say that you shall engage the suspect if you hear shots fired, and he changed it to say may engage the suspect if shots are fired. So he gave Scott Peterson the leeway that he exercised, but he is not going to jail or otherwise suffering for this. So I think that's a little unfair.
I'm sorry, but you don't just go rushing in.
Exactly.
To an incident. You go in with backup, yes.
Well, that's fine.
You don't just rush it because you don't know what's going. You don't know what the building is. Well, it's a school. Great, so he could be anywhere. So you're going down one corridor, the guy's running down the other corridor.
Yeah, so they actually there were a number of failures.
So much
surveillance.
Yes.
The surveillance. They didn't actually know where he was because the surveillance was on a loop, and they didn't realize it was on a loop for like an hour. So that was why after he had left, they kept thinking that he was in there, even though he wasn't.
What does surveillance on a loop mean?
Hang on.
It means that the cameras were playing the same section of video over and over, so they thought that he was in a hall because they kept seeing him in the hall, but they kept seeing him in the hall in the video.
Who does that?
I have no idea.
How does that happen?
I have no idea.
Sorry, Ollie just pointed out. Yeah, I completely forgot there was a shooter at a Trump thing at one time. He failed bad. Can't remember the details.
Terribly,
Sorry, I completely forgot about that. Yeah, he was actually from Britain, if I remember correctly, and had autism.
The perfect. What a catch!
Yes, I remember Carl at the time. I remember Zargon at the time when I actually liked Zargon. Seemed to have some impression that he might have been convinced to do that by his girlfriend, who Carl Fox might have been an SJW.
And I responded. I responded with a picture of Joe Cox, going, "You fucking moron!" But yeah.
Oh, you and your meme pictures.
No, that was This Week in Skeptic. That response to that, because he was literally. The thing is, he's basically. I bet he was a Bernie supporter. I bet he was this and that and the other. He's making up all kinds of conjecture, and it's amazing how at the time he's sitting there kind of going, I can't stand the idea of these people geeing up people to do nasty things. It's like, dude, you've got some of your fans walking into mosques and, firing bits of metal at people, dude. Anything? You want to say anything? No? No responsibility. Everybody else is responsible for their words.
Sorry, have I just missed something? I've just nipped off too.
Well, no, this is the thing. This is the thing with Carl in total. Really, is that words are just words, although it's really important. Yeah.
Especially when it's words about Carl. If you talk about Carl, then you must always praise him.
Yeah.
Did you see Sargon on Sky?
What? Oh, that
It's
is
just-
big.
Wow.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah,
No,
last month or whatever. Yeah.
I didn't see
That
it the
was
first time
hysterical.
where he was on it.
It was so funny. My favorite part was when like he does this whole shtick of like she just brings in like all of the horrible things he said, and he basically his only defense is, well, I have 400 million views on YouTube, so
That's what he
And-
always does.
And then so she's like, all right, it's like, why don't you debate me on policy then? If you're not going to, otherwise just don't. And she's like, okay, so what policies would you like to bring forward if you will? And he goes, if you're in a minority party, I don't think you actually get to set policy. It's like, all right. So you're just trolling. You're literally trolling. The entire basis of your entire candidacy is purely nothing but shitlording.
Well, let's be honest. I mean, Carl isn't the best live debater.
No, but the thing is, when you see things like
Masturbator,
that, you kind of wonder, well, Carl, why did you want to be an MEP? And you obviously genuinely did.
Well, you just have to go back to when he wanted to join UKIP, and they'll kind of go, so what would you like to do while you're a member of UKIP? And he's like, nothing really. I just want something to support.
Yeah.
And the current leader is actually, well, I say current leader, the former leader has left. I so want Carl to run the leadership. Just because it would be so funny.
That would be amazing. All of this is yours now. Enjoy it. Rule over this pile of dirt.
I'm sorry, UKIP's gone. UKIP's dead.
Oh, I know.
They have no MPs.
UKIP
They
is
have
fucked.
no lead. They have
They're
nothing.
going to go into coalition with the BNP, and then that's just going to be it.
What? See how far right we can go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I just love it because I've joked before about the idea of, because all the troubles started up in Ireland. You might remember I joked about the idea of Carl becoming a general, making Carl general just to see him be a proper leader. But now, if he actually does potentially become leader of UKIP, oh my god, that's actually close. That's close enough to reality.
He lost, right? My understanding is he didn't.
Oh yeah, he lost.
Everything is gone. It's all
done,
gone.
right?
The
It's
whole,
all over. It's
gone.
nuked.
Nobody's left.
It's done. It's already over.
Yeah, it's dead in the water.
I don't sound. I mean, because obviously Carl wasn't an MEP candidate in my area, so I don't actually know. Did he lose his deposit as well?
I think so.
Yeah.
I felt sorry for Tommy Stephen Yaxley-Lennon when he lost his deposit. And I did think that he deserved a second recount. Because that would have been even funnier. The humiliation was just beyond compare for the poor bastard.
Yeah, and Carl saying, "Oh, but of course I couldn't have beaten Farage." Carl, I happen to know you weren't running against Farage.
No, even worse, he was running against Anne Widdicombe. He lost to Anne bloody Widdicombe. Oh God.
But that's what
she is the Virgin Ice Queen.
Is she actually a virgin?
Yes.
Oh.
She's actually boasted about it a few years back.
Physically and mentally.
Whoa, you're going robot, Drew.
Sorry.
He's just, it's talking to him again.
It's never been the same since Jamie doesn't. Bring Jamie and Jamie will fix it.
All right.
Because Jamie's lovely. She has some issues as well because she actually thinks I'm nice.
Look, there's no accounting for taste. It's just make what you want. Yeah.
So what we got here, Aberdale, the countryside, a desolated wasteland. I'd hate the world too if I had to live out there. To a degree.
Where?
I mean, there's a certain misanthropic nature about a lot of people who go out into the sticks. It's less people there.
I loved living out in the sticks. It was beautiful.
Yeah, because
Walk around.
all that lack of humans.
watch the foxes rushing around, watch the pheasants.
There is a certain distrust from people who aren't from round here. That sort of thing. Some would call it xenophobic, others would call it xenophobic, and in fact everyone would call it xenophobic because it's xenophobia. But other people think that that's just, country living.
That's patriotism. Or
something like that, yeah.
Well, it depends on the person, obviously, because, I didn't grow up as xenophobic racist, and I was brought up in a country.
Yeah, I think it's, there's a lot of, my country uber alles. And it also, I think it depends on how brainwashed somebody gets themselves in when it comes to the army, when it comes to sort of certain institutions and things like that. It really depends on whether you're prepared to lie to yourself enough, I think.
I can recall getting posted to Germany, and one of the people I was with turned around and said, "Germany's shit." And it's just, what's shit about Germany? Where have you been? Well, nowhere. He'd spent literally the first year of his time in Germany on the base. He never left the base, which was just like, look, mate, come with us. We'll take you downtown. And we did. And we showed him everything about the German, into the Altstadt, the local town, the old town, where squaddies weren't really welcome. We took him in there. We let him buy drinks, mainly in the gay bar. We took him to the gay bar. That was fun. You've got to order three pints of bitter, sorry, dry beer, and eine große Pimmel. Off you go to the bar. It's your round. Now, if anybody doesn't speak German, a große Pimmel is a big cock. And that's what we did.
Rude.
And he went to the bar and he ordered the 3 pints and a große Pimmel.
And they basically just gave him a large Coke.
They fucking laughed their cocks off at him.
Talking about gay jokes, 4 teenagers aged 15 to 18 arrested over homophobic bus attack. Yay! Nothing like a bit of homophobia in London. Nice one, kids.
They told the woman to kiss them.
Yeah.
Each other.
There was an attack on Melania Gaymonat?
Does it matter?
I'm not quite sure where that's from. And her girlfriend Chris. Happened on top of a double-decker bus, London N31 bus, as they were travelling to Camden Town in the early hours of May 30th. Met Police said the suspects were aged between 15 and 18 and were arrested on Friday on suspicion of robbery and aggravated GBH. They've been taken to separate police stations for questioning. The incident occurred around 2:30 a.m. after the women boarded the bus in West Hampstead, said Scotland Yard. A group of young men began harassing them when they discovered that they were a couple, asking them to kiss while making sexual gestures. When they refused, both women were beaten by the thugs before having their phone and bag stolen. Both women were taken to hospital with facial injuries and have since been discharged. And if I was on that bus, there would have been about 4 children dead. Detective Superintendent Andy I would have fucking ripped their throats out. Just one. I'd rip out the throat of one of them first. And just say, right, which one of you would like to join your friend?
Your name.
Finish him.
Yeah. No, you just grab somebody by the throat with your fingers and thumb and just squeeze. It's very easy.
It's surprisingly easy to stick your fingers and jam them by the side of the...
Somebody a kid like that, you've made it to 16, 18. Well done, mate, but looks like you've lost this one. If you can't get on a bus and not do a homophobic attack, you've lost your rights to live on that one, I'm afraid. Lots of people will understandably outraged by this attack. Our efforts to trace all the suspects involved and bring them in for questioning will be relentless. Attacks of this nature on London buses are rare. I would like to measure those handed out over the weekend. That extra uniformed and plainclothes safer transport officers will be out on patrol working to keep them safe and prevent crime. Melania recounted the horrific events on Facebook with a post during the going viral after receiving an outpour of support from social media users. A fundraiser has been set up for the couple by Moonpig in a bid to get the couple back on their feet. Melania wrote on the Facebook, in an attempt to calm things down, I started making jokes. I thought this might make them go away. Chris even pretended she was sick, but they kept on harassing us, throwing us coins, and becoming more enthusiastic about it. And I thought, well, you know, God. One little kiss, you could have got maybe a couple of notes out of them. The next thing I remember was Chris in the middle of them, and they were beating her. I don't think about it when I didn't think about it and went in. I was pulling her back and trying to defend her so she could. So they started beating me up. I didn't even know if I was knocked unconscious. I felt blood. I was bleeding all over my clothes and all over the floor. I went downstairs and the police were there. Melania said that there were at least 4 attackers. One spoke Spanish, while the others had a British accent. Theresa May condemned the assault this afternoon. It's nice to know that our bigotry is multicultural. This was a sickening attack, and my thoughts were are with the couple affected. Nobody should ever have to hide. Blah 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 blah. Yeah, douchebags alert. Well, at least they're all in prison, and hopefully having the shit kicked out of them in there just for being alive.
They'll be in the showers learning what
to be a little less homophobic. Yeah,
all about.
Maybe they'll
don't
learn.
drop the soap.
And
I'm going to be a bit intrigued about part of that story. I mean, I know they kind of had to say something, or the mayor had to say something, but that part about how, well, they said that there'll be more plainclothes police officers introduced in the future, and yet a bit before that, you also said events like this are rare. So, generally, that means you don't have to do that much.
Well, of course, but the whole point is to give people reassurances.
Doing something.
Yeah, it's just a reassurance thing.
Yeah, and the fact that there may be officers on a bus, I mean, it may act as a deterrent. The fact that the kids are that stupid, they don't know there's bloody cameras on every bus.
Yeah.
I mean, even up north, we've got cameras on buses. I mean, admittedly, it's a bloke stood there with a huge box brandy and wine to handle. Cameras on buses up north.
Oh, I've got to talk about this part. I mean, there's a whole there was a thing a bit recently about how people are watching porn on buses these days. So apparently, that there's going to be more controls to stop people watching porn on buses. It's now going to be declared sexual harassment if you do that. But on top of that, they're going to give more powers to police officers and I love this, bus conductors.
Okay.
we haven't had those in years.
We don't have any bus conductors.
Exactly. We don't have them, so it's pointless.
Hey, talking of Tommy Robinson,
okay,
who just happened to. I don't know if anybody's. Yeah, you might have missed it over the last few days. He decided to punch some twat in the back of the head.
When is he not?
No. He he was on his way to the England game, which was Friday.
Well, I'm sure that's a common assault charge on the way then.
Well, one of his comments was, "I can come here because I'm not banned from watching football in Portugal." Well, you didn't used to be, but he's now complaining about harassment.
Why?
I've been filmed punching a bloke in the. I mean, he didn't even do it to his face. The guy had got his. The guy was basically said, "You don't represent me, mate, and you don't represent most of the people I work with." And then Tommy Robinson walked up, but whilst the guy had his back turned, he was walking along. Robinson was walking along and punched him in the back of the head.
This is the guy you support, Carl.
This is the guy.
Yeah, a fucking
and now
thug.
he's complaining about harassment.
Such is the life, you see. This is the motivated reasoning. This is the when you switch off your faculties for some something on the horizon that you're hoping for. You really start to see visionaries are so blind. Have you noticed this when people get themselves into this sort of thing? All must suffer for the cause, and you end up hanging around with people that will do that because you don't like some blue-head she-twink interrupting your D&D game.
I mean, in my country, we have someone who now breaks up a peaceful protest with the police. You know. Salvini has basically decided he's gonna wipe his ass with the Constitution and says, "Yeah, I basically get to beat the shit out of you if you dare to protest against me, even peacefully. If you hang a banner outside your house when I'm around that insults me in any way, I'm gonna have the police tear it down and then beat the shit out of you."
Such is the life.
Yeah, and somehow Giovanna doesn't think that could happen to her country.
Look, I'm sorry, but I mean, much as I enjoy Giovanna's company, pleasant woman to chat to occasionally, she does have some slightly strange ideas.
Anger issues, I think, is the word.
Yeah, I mean,
But
she doesn't think that. That's the problem. We had someone like Trump before Salvini, and he lowered the bar to the point where Salvini got in charge. She does not think that Trump lowering the bar, she could get someone like Salvini, who
the
basically
bar
says,
is already low, mate. The thing is that Trump isn't lowering the bar. He's coming under. He's so low that he's able to get underneath it. That's the thing.
No one.
The
can
bar
limbo
has
a bar
already
like
been
Trump.
lowered, and that has allowed the likes of this idiot simpleton, the only tall man in the world with a Napoleon complex, to be a president of her country. This is, he's not a cause of anything. He is a symptom of something else. If you listen to a lot of these people, you hear them, and they're always saying this, kind of going, talk like that is just going to get Trump elected again. And what they're really implying is this: I am prepared to elect a fucking moron to teach you a lesson. That's why he's there. He's not there and they're kind of, oh yeah, this guy's perfect. And they're just not listening to it. No. They thought he was a fucking arsehole. They thought he was a problem. They thought he was going to fuck shit up. And they voted for it. That's what they were after. That's what they were interested in doing it. The spite is the goal. So he's not like some spear, not some tip of the spear here. That's the bit that a lot of people don't quite understand about this bunch, is that they're doing this out of spite. The spite is the point.
I mean, you still could end up with someone like Salvini after Trump. Just an utter asshole who openly says, yeah, I hate the Constitution, I just want to be a fucking despot.
Look, that's not a nice thing to call Mike Pence.
Not Mike Pence. Mike Pence is a fucking genius compared to Trump.
Mike Pence is probably more dangerous than Trump. If you are gay, lesbian, of not white-skinned, hates ethnic origin, the ethnic Americans, blacks, Mexican.
What does he feel about disabled people?
They're cursed by God.
He actually thinks disabled
This is a
people.
man who, before he had to make an important decision, I think it was on lesbian rights, he had to go home and listen to God's voice. God speaks directly to him.
What?
I don't recall him having a position on the disabled. I mean, he's for them, obviously, but I don't.
Well, everyone's for the disabled. We want more disabled people.
Right.
And
I
that way
personally
we
am
can make
for
money
We
more
want everybody to be missing abilities.
I would
I'm
like for there to be
thinking-
more blind people in the world, so I'm always recruiting actively to
You'd like
increase
to
the number
what?
of blind
See
people.
more blind people.
Yes.
I like that one, mate. Thank you very much.
Yep.
When
We'd
I-
all
when
like
I-
to see
when I
more
said-
people who look like us.
When
in
I
our
said what's his
community.
view on the disabled, I was thinking more in terms of my disability,
Okay.
Asperger's syndrome. So what does he feel about people with learning disabilities?
He wants to make money out of you.
Are there
What else
different
would he-
sects
it's
in the
good
blind
God.
communities? Are you like
Yes.
like the people who are really like complete? They just see nothing, and then you got some
So,
people who
Robin-
see a few shapes. Do they get really angry at the other ones? Do they do they
Yes.
fight?
So, Robin, it's time to talk about intersectionality.
Okay,
Oh dear.
let's do it.
Intersectionality is a concept of multiple things intersecting at a particular point in the context of social justice. This is when you have multiple afflictions.
I didn't need this bit of the lesson. Go to 102.
That was it. That's the lesson.
Oh right, okay.
Yeah.
But
So,
you still haven't told me. Like, you guys fight or something, or what?
Yeah, basically. So that's the thing, is like, you'd think there would be some sort of like disability solidarity, but it turns out, like, and here's an example. For CAPTCHAs, for instance, now it's fine now because you just click a button, you move on. But back in the old days, you'd have to type in a thing, and then if you couldn't see the picture, you'd have to click the button that would say "Get the audio example."
Exactly. Because you're not a robot.
Right, sure, but this is a problem if you are, say, deafblind and you can't read or hear it.
What are you doing on the computer at that point, though?
Well, right, but
I mean,
you're
just staring at nothing.
Yeah, so this is the problem, you ableist, is that when this problem was brought up, that people within actually my community, the blind community, I am sad to have to admit, responded in that way, and we're just sort of like, yeah, but look, deafblind, like, who even cares? How many people are even deafblind, and do they use computers? And look, it's just too hard to lift. Why are you trying to it's fine, just shut up, it's fine. Which was sort of odd to me, because that is, of course, exactly how we are treated in the sighted world by sighted people. And it was really shocking to see the exact same patterns manifesting themselves when it came to a different community that was in the similar plight, but just slightly different.
Well, I'd like to actually.
There's no solidarity.
I'd like to call out the blind community, actually, really, to be honest with you.
Well, I just did.
Yeah,
so because you're not of them.
Well, yeah. Well, this is actually the bit that I'm actually quite upset about.
This is another thing, right?
Yeah,
See, like,
because
you can't call out the black community, Robin, because you're not black. It doesn't work.
Well, I'm color blind.
Okay.
Yeah, and I don't get
what?
any. Yeah, nobody in the blind community is there supporting me. Never. No. I never see any of you people.
Well, right, we don't see you either, so...
exactly.
I'd like to offer Robin my support as a fellow colourblindee.
Yeah, we have to stick together, don't we?
You do.
Well, what's the colour of the background?
Yeah, but what kind of colourblind are you?
Red-green.
Wait a minute, I don't understand. You're a colourblind...
I don't want to sound... I mean, how bad it was. My first and my biggest love in work I ever did was... a lighting bloke in a theatre.
That's hard.
And I didn't even know at the time. Nobody knew until I put blue gels in instead of green. Have you got a problem with your eyesight? No. Why? I've done what?
So I have a question for Robin.
Yeah.
So you're colorblind, and your chosen profession is the visual arts.
Yes. What of it?
Why? You should pick a different profession. Don't you know? That's really hard, right? Isn't it? It's just like to be able to do the job, right? Isn't that like sort of difficult?
Well, I'm
maybe you should find something else.
I'm a proto-nopia, which is a rather special gender of the colorblindness community.
Oh,
yeah.
Really?
We're basically the nice ones.
Okay.
So
I don't see what.
Well, we're not.
You are a very nice person.
Yeah, but what I mean is that we're not that far off from normal vision.
Okay.
So
I'm now skeptical as to your disability status.
Yeah. Yeah, do you deserve disability benefit?
Okay, I'm around 0.56% off.
Okay.
So you're pretty much.
I don't know how much that is.
I do understand.
I can't do math.
Sort of understand what he's saying. Well, yeah, I mean, mine was enough to say you can't work in theatre. I could do gigs, and I did gigs, and I loved doing gigs.
That's literally the point. Sorry, Fox.
Well, it's down to shades, isn't it? I mean, yeah, I couldn't tell the difference between, maybe that's why they did it, but on the gels, they used to write numbers on them. Blue 64 and red 30, whatever it was. Put a 45 gel in. Maybe that was what they were telling me. These are why we have numbers, because you're stupid and you can't see them.
Yes.
So to me, putting flesh colours in was a nightmare, because I was putting in. It got to the stage where I was now trying to put a gel in and going, this one.
Genuine,
someone. Thank you.
genuine question for you, Silver, and you, Robin.
You see, the
colour
colour blindness is a lot more interesting than normal, average, everyday blindness. You see.
Yeah,
Anyway,
right. No one wants to talk
Yeah,
fucking blind.
yeah.
But
Well, we're exotic.
I mean,
genuine question.
The thing is, at least you can get a dog. We get a dog. It's colorblind as well.
But real question: do you guys get disability? Are you eligible for disability?
No,
No.
we get discriminated against by society.
That's right. Yep.
Whereas
deal
you-
with it. Look,
you-
Robin.
you
if you want to
blindies-
experience,
Yeah,
If
you
you wanna
blindies, you
experience
get
the
everything
disability-
laid out for you on a plate.
Listen, Robin. If you want to experience disability benefits, you have an option open to you. Just poke your eyes out with a stick, and then you'll be fine. Okay.
Wow.
You get a dog.
That was a microaggression, Drew.
No, it's a suggestion.
I hope you
That's all. It
understand that.
solves your
If
problem.
you're allergic to dogs, they'll even get you a fucking.
I can see through your lies.
Yeah,
Okay,
by the way,
You want me blinded.
Sargon.
Just
this
so
is
to
what
join
actual
your
centrism looks like. 'cause we're
joining your
mocking both
cult.
sides.
Yep. It is a cult.
The
We're
cult
always
of-
recruiting.
The cult of the non-seeing eye.
Yeah. So the light cannot be changed. So anyway, for those of you, who
Yeah, I
aren't
bet
me and
you're all
Robin, the
like
only reason why
chanting, "The light is a lie. The light is a lie."
I'm- Right. You want to know what we call you? You want to know? You want to know what the pejorative term for sighted people is amongst the blind
What?
community?
Sees men.
Light slave.
What, do you not sleep at night, then, Drew?
What?
How would he know?
No, that's my point.
Don't
That's kind of my point.
I mean, let's be honest.
That's
Drew's avatar.
stupid.
He's not groping the women. He's busy. He's
Hey,
reading a
look,
book.
guys. I don't know about you, but there's a lot of people like really sensitive about what people say on YouTube right now. We're just like totally dogpiling into this blind guy. It's like...
Well, I'm only dogpiling into him because he won't let Jamie come on.
She doesn't want on Fox. I'm sorry. It's
That's
really,
what you're saying. You've blocked Jamie
Yeah.
on purpose.
No, she finds this all incredibly boring, Fox. I'm sorry.
That's not
Yeah,
what she says to me.
Again,
Oh my!
I just
Jamie
wanna
says
say-
I'm lovely.
She doesn't.
knows
She
why.
doesn't. She
She
doesn't.
likes you.
She
I
doesn't.
know.
She likes
God
British
knows
men.
why.
She has a weakness for them. That's what it is. She has a weakness for British men.
She doesn't want to
and,
tangle her pretty little head up in all of this.
Hello,
Indeed.
baby.
Not when there's a kitchen.
That's right. Exactly.
And like I
Exactly.
said to all the skeptic YouTubers out there, this is what actual centrism looks like. We're mocking both sides of the aisle here. Mocking you, and we're
No,
mocking people who seem to
no.
get really sensitive about it.
No,
What?
no, we're mocking in a camaraderie sense, not like we don't actually just want to take the piss out of blind people. Like if you've just let's say if you've just you've come of age and you've become blind.
I was thinking
is it
more
like
about mocking the people who
does
talk
it
about
come, I'm not sure
microaggressions.
how it comes about. Is it like in puberty or something? But anyway,
It
if
depends.
yeah, well, exactly. You could just be
People
like walking down the
experience sight
street
loss
and then you're gone.
I
So
was thinking more about the people who mocking the people who complain about microaggressions and stuff like
Yeah.
that.
So if you've just come onto this channel and you've just turned blind, that's probably this conversation. Sorry about that. It has that sort of effect. Words have meaning and power.
So
Yeah.
So
So
this is
true.
what happened to Drew.
Yeah.
You know?
So I guess Stevie Wonder jokes are out now.
Are you in the toilet again? Yeah. Yeah, he
sounds
is.
like he is.
Yeah, he
yeah.
is.
Yep.
We're gonna hear flushing.
We're gonna hear the sound of pouring water in a second.
By the way, Ollie left this comment ages ago. I have no idea what he's talking about. I'll buy you a ticket to the Miss Universe pageant
We-
backstage.
We're gonna hear the sound of
my.
a failing prostate in a minute. Let it. Here it comes. Let it's gonna be.
I should actually hear it.
It's gonna be like
Yeah, I'm
squeeze.
hearing it. I'm
Yeah,
hearing it right
it's
now.
gonna be like squeezing water out of a pipette. Has he got to get a dog to do it for him?
Age's jokes really are wise, Robin, because you're gonna be in this situation
Yeah.
in 30 years.
Well,
so I
I've
really
I've
don't
picked on
advise
the
it.
blind, so I might as well start laying into the old. And then we
Oh,
can.
wait, no, he's muted.
Yeah, and then
Just
we can
noticed he's muted.
we can
Oh, no, not anymore.
finally finish with the lame.
Yep.
So
And
talking.
then the Italians.
Well, I did say the lane. So they're already
One of
broken.
my favorite things to do when I'm losing an argument and somebody starts correcting my spelling is to go like get really shitty back because they don't know I'm blind and be like, wow, that's the best you've got is to correct the blind person for their spelling? That's nice. Why don't you go over to the special needs school and kick the wheelchairs? Just like completely shame them outrageously for something that's not their fault because they don't know.
That's the ability that you have.
That's right. That's my superpower.
That's your superpower,
right.
You see.
You thought it was
this
like
man
being able to like sonar and daredevil shit? No, actually, it's bullshit.
Yeah. See he's got his lemons and he's found his lemonade.
Yep.
It's
apparently so great. Being able to fuck with people is fantastic when you're blind.
Apparently, that comment Ollie left about "I'll buy you a ticket to the Miss Universe pageant backstage." Apparently, Robin was ripping out perverts' throats when I wrote the comment.
All right, fair enough.
I still don't really know.
Robin, how many perverts' throats have you ripped out recently?
I'm not allowed to say.
Do you have corpses stacked up like cordwood to either side of you at this moment?
Let me just consult my lawyer.
All right, yeah, good idea.
He says everything is fine, and we've never met.
Is your lawyer John Dowd?
Is it Mike Cernovich?
He's not allowed. Once again, I'm not allowed to say.
Oh, okay, all right, that's...
Yeah, it's Mike Cernovich.
It's just not my privilege, sir. I'm
that's
very
just
sorry.
because you're embarrassed of having Mike Cernovich.
Can you imagine?
Yes, I can imagine.
That's all.
That's very easy to.
Good God, Silver Fox is taking a long time in that toilet.
Yeah, no kidding.
Well, that is that prostate failing.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's like threading the eye of a needle.
No, actually, I was about to say I came out. I left that room a long time ago. It's just because of my senility. I forgot to unmute.
Oh, right, okay.
You're like, why isn't this working? All right.
How is the prostate, by the way? Still swollen?
Well, if you really want me to discuss prostate, because I haven't done 1,000.
Well, we are just about to finish the show, so I thought I'd end on a crescendo.
Oh, well, right, your prostate. Believe it or not, as a few blokes here and very few females, as in none.
What this is the weird sound that he makes now and again. Are you like some sort of hamster and you like stuff food inside your throat or something? Because this is what you sound like. You sound like you've just like got like a mouthful of like hot cross bun or something.
No, I've got a shitty connection and occasionally...
Oh, you're going to blame the connection?
The sample rate is down.
For you sounding as if you're basically masturbating and strangling yourself at the same time. Come on.
I think he's like a pitch down or something for some reason.
It's erotic asphyxiation, I'm telling you. That's what's going on.
It could be autoerotic asphyxiation.
He's still got the belt around his neck. That's what's going on.
Sure. There is that.
I'm not driving a car. How could it be auto asphyxiation?
It's either that or a hot cross bun. Which is it?
I think Ollie is trying to...
religious, so I'm not having one of them.
Okay.
I think Ollie is trying to take a jab at you two by saying, but I have good contact lenses. I'm assuming that's towards the blind comments.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow, little bit ableist. Little bit ableist.
Contact lenses automatically convert Braille into words. They're that good.
That does sound amazing. I want some of those.
Anyway.
By the way, I grew up those ladies consensually. By the way, just for the record.
That's always the best way.
They were totally into it.
That's right.
Their impulse were just their thoughts.
Yep.
As in, this feels nice. No, it doesn't. Yes, it is. I wish he'd stop doing that. Does he realise I'm 94 this year?
Yeah. Oh yeah, you got to see it, Drew.
Yeah, true. One was your
I don't need to. That's what the hands are for, my friend.
I thought they were there for signing.
No.
$100 per lens, apparently.
For contact lenses.
Okay. I think you overpaid.
Only in America.
I think
are those the throwaway kind?
Giving up, my friend.
Judging by America's medical bills, that probably is the throwaway kind. You know.
Yeah.
That's his weekly bill.
There was, this thing that the UK's got about selling off the NHS, and
oh boy,
we're going to use American insurance things.
Oh boy,
There was a bill.
Not...
Somebody produced a bill online for a lady who had been in to have a child, and one of the things that the hospital charged for was the mother holding the child. That's it. Skin and skin contact.
holding fee.
That sounds fake.
It's horrifying.
Can't believe that.
Well, I do apologize.
No, the horrifying bit is when you've
That's
got out of the
crazy.
hospital and they kind of go, right, you need to pay us money. That's the horrible bit.
Yeah.
Oh, one of the...
Drew, do you know how many people in the UK have gone bankrupt due to hospital bills?
No.
None.
Absolutely zero.
Mm.
$100 for hard lenses. That's
Our medical system is a disgrace and
I think-
unworkable, and there's no defense of it. Thanks, Obama.
I think one of the Tory MPs who is running for the prime minister position, I think he is actually a guy who 7 years ago went on Fox News to say how bad our healthcare system was and wished it was an insurance-based healthcare system like America.
Yeah,
Okay, so
at
what?
the time
I
he
don't
was
care.
the Secretary of State for Health.
Oh, that guy. That's
Okay.
That guy,
But
yeah.
anyway,
I don't
I'm
even know
gonna
the guy you're talking about.
Yeah,
call
but-
this one at
but then
12.
But then you're gonna keep your NHS.
I'm calling this one at
That's fine.
12, guys. So we've got 2 hours out of us this week. Be back on Saturday. Going to be working on this for 8 o'clock. So we'll do the full 4 hours. You'll get your fill. Thanks everybody for showing up. Yeah, and you know what to do. If you want to come on the house, just give us a message. Follow me, of course, and I can always send you a link. But see you next time. Chitty bye, guys.
Bye.
Chitty bye.
Bye.
Cool.
Ooh.
No, I haven't
Good
stopped
show.
yet. No, we're just in the black bit. You got to wait about 5 seconds after that. You know. So we've just got this bit at the end now.
I'm sorry.
Amateurs.
I'm so unprofessional.